Hello everyone, I'm Abby Carlson. I'm an infectious diseases doctor here at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta, Georgia. And welcome to Project First Line's new video blog. On this blog, we are going to be explaining some of the basic ideas behind infection control, why they work for COVID-19, and then how they work to protect you and your patients, your coworkers, and your community. To start off with a little bit about myself, up until a few months ago, I, like many of you, was working in a hospital. I was part of an infection control team, and I was also working as a doctor, caring for patients. And as you know, it's been almost a year now since the beginning of this pandemic. For those of us in healthcare, it has been a year filled with a lot of change and a lot of challenges. We've encountered situations that were seemingly impossible. They were new, they were stressful, and quite frankly, they were scary and traumatic. We're doing so many things differently now because of COVID-19, from screening patients and employees at the entrances to wearing masks all the time when we're at work. These changes can be overwhelming to all of us. And we may not always understand why we're doing certain things that we're doing or why those things matter for stopping the spread of the pandemic. Let's be honest, there are a lot of infection control recommendations for COVID-19. There is a lot to do, and it is really important that we do it right. We here at Project First Line are here to help with that. We want you to understand not just what you're doing to control COVID-19, but really why you're doing it. That's because we believe that you can do your job best when you understand why you're doing what you're doing. So, before we get into the why, it helps to first think about what we're trying to do with infection control. The ultimate goal of everything we do in infection control for any disease is to keep people from getting sick. In this case, to keep people from getting sick with COVID-19. Obviously, we don't want our patients to get sick when they come to see us for care, but it's equally as important that they don't make us sick as we're providing care. And just as importantly, we don't want to make our colleagues and coworkers sick as we work together. We want this to be a safe process for all. We're in healthcare because we want to help people. That job is more important now than ever. And we all recognize that there's some risk of infection in going to work during a pandemic. So the goal of CDC's infection control recommendations is to protect you and everyone in the healthcare facility from getting infected while you're making sure your patients have the essential care that they need. And our goal here at Project First Line is to make sure that you have the infection control knowledge that you need and deserve to keep yourself, your patients, your colleagues, and your community safe. In our next video, we're going to be discussing SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19, two terms that we hear a lot, but we don't always know what the difference is between the two of them. So we're going to go into that in our next video blog. Please be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to get our updates, or check us out on the web at cdc.gov/Project First Line. We'll see you all with the next episode. Hi everyone, I'm Abby Carlson. I'm an infectious diseases doctor here at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome back to Inside Infection Control, our new blog from Project First Line. We are going to clear up today a difference that you see a lot, which is these two terms, SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19, and understanding what those mean. We see these terms in many places in healthcare, and a lot of people have questions because it's not always completely clear what the relationship is between the two. So we're going to clarify that. SARS-CoV-2 is the name of the virus, the official scientific name, of the germ that causes the disease, COVID-19. This can be really confusing, but it's actually not all that unusual. There are other times in medicine where a virus has one name and the disease that causes it is named something else. One example that you all might be more familiar with is chickenpox. Chickenpox, the disease, is that rash that you maybe got in childhood or maybe you got vaccinated against it. But the virus that causes chickenpox, the disease, is named varicella-zoster virus. That's its official scientific name. So similarly, because SARS-CoV-2 is the official scientific name of the virus that causes COVID-19, when we talk about the virus and what it does in the body to make people sick, we use its official name. The places you'll probably see this most in healthcare is in testing and test results, where those results are often recorded by that official scientific name of SARS-CoV-2. You might also see it a little when people talk about the vaccine. On the other hand, COVID-19 stands for Coronavirus Disease 2019, COVID 2019. It's the illness that people come down with. The fever, the chills, the cough, the difficulty breathing, all those other symptoms that people have when they're infected with the virus. So COVID-19 is the disease, those symptoms that you come down with, and it's how we mostly talk about the pandemic. So to sum it up, we get infected with SARS-CoV-2, which makes us get sick with the disease COVID-19. But obviously, we don't want to get infected, and we don't want to get sick, and we don't want to spread it to others. And that is where infection control comes in. If you're wondering at this point, well, what's a virus? Come back for the next episode. We're going to talk more about that, and then why that matters for infection control in healthcare. As always, don't hesitate to follow us on Facebook or Twitter, and check out our website at cdc.gov/projectfirstline. We'll see you all with the next episode. Hello everyone, I'm Abby Carlson. I am an infectious diseases doctor here at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta, Georgia. And today we are going to talk about viruses. We talk about viruses a lot in healthcare, but people often have questions like, what exactly is a virus? What does it look like? How does it work? When you know a little bit about viruses, we can understand why certain things we do in infection control work to stop them from spreading and from making people sick. And even if you're already pretty familiar with viruses, you may need a way to explain it to other people when they ask you questions. So we're going to help with that. Let's talk a bit about the basics. Viruses are one of the many types of germs that make us sick, but we're talking specifically about viruses because the disease, COVID-19, is caused by SARS-CoV-2, a virus. It is a new virus in a family called coronaviruses, and that's why we talk about COVID-19 as coronavirus disease, because this new virus belongs to that family. Viruses aren't really a living thing like an animal is, and this is a big topic of debate, and we don't have time right now to talk about it on this video, but they are able to use living things like animals and people to make copies of themselves, and then they keep spreading from one living thing to another. Viruses actually only have a couple of parts. All viruses have genes, just like we have genes, and those genes contain all the information needed to make more virus copies. You can think of these genes like an instruction booklet or the blueprint of the virus. They're the thing that needs to be read in order to make more viruses. Viruses also have proteins, again, just like we have proteins. Most of the proteins in a virus come together to create a shell. The technical name for this is a capsid. And that shell protects those blueprint genes from getting damaged. Some proteins stay inside the shell and they only come out when it's time to make more copies of the virus. Other proteins stick out from the shell And those proteins are special because they help the virus get around the body and also from one person to another. Some viruses, not all, but SARS-CoV-2 is one of them. Some have another layer on the outside of that shell called an envelope. And this is just like the envelope in the mail that protects the letter inside of it. The envelope for the virus protects the genes inside of it. And it is made of some fats with some protein mixed in. It also, like the shell, has some proteins sticking out of it. And just the same as the shell, those proteins are used to help the virus get around the body and help it get from one person to another. So we'll talk about this fatty envelope again when we talk about hand hygiene and environmental cleaning. Because with cleaning, we destroy that envelope protecting the virus and prevent it from making more copies of itself, which prevents it from spreading. So now that we know what a virus is, we can talk a little bit more about how it travels between people and makes us sick, which can help us understand what we need to do in infection control to stop this from happening. We'll cover all of that in the next episode. So be sure to follow up with us on Facebook or Twitter. On Facebook, we have in the comments a picture of a virus that can help you follow along with each of these parts that we've described. And we'll be giving out new notifications of new episodes as they're released. So check us out there online at cdc.gov/Project First Line, and we will see you with the next episode. Bye, everybody.